Tuesday, Anthony. Got another great show. I can't wait. Yeah, the enthusiasm.
Hi, Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. Anthony Melchiori, so great to see you. How are you today, sir? That enthusiasm, I've never seen anything like it. I don't know how to cope.
I had the best waffles I ever had in my life. It's called Waffles Decaffeinated, Waffles Incorporated here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, right near the William Tell Hotel. I'm not a waffles guy. Best waffles I've ever had.
I'm confused. You said best waffles, but didn't follow that with Waffle House. I don't know how that works.
No, it's the lightest, nicest. I think it's called Waffles Incorporated or Waffles Decaffeinated or something like that. But the young lady that helped me was lovely, the waitress, and it was just a nice. It had fruit on it. It was very light. It was a very nice breakfast. So if you're ever in Pittsburgh, go to the Waffle Decaffeinated.
Or Waffles Incorporated, or
Waffles something.
Waffles LLC,
it's literally a half a block away from the William Tell Hotel, which is a lovely historic hotel.
Excellent. So, Anthony, I'm excited today because we're going to have two guests on today. We're going to start off with Teague Hunter. We're going to talk a little about the hotel, the Hunter Hotel Investment Conference. And then we got returning to the show, friend of the show, Dan Cockerell. You might know him from writing the book, How's the Culture in Your Kingdom? He's going to talk to us a little bit today about how to get employees engaged and back up to speed as we enter our newish norm out there. What do you think about that?
I think that's great. And I'll tell you, there's nobody better to talk to right now with everything that's going on in the industry. And I don't know if I'll make the Hunter conference, but I hope I do because I think it's an important, not only, it's always an important conference, but I think this year is probably the most important.
Okay, I want everybody to know that producer Dave is here working behind the scenes today, and he's told us that it's Waffles Incaffeinated. Waffles Incaffeinated, Anthony.
Thank you, Dave. That's
all right.
That's why David makes the big bucks.
All right, so one place that I hope to find waffles, but may not get to eat waffles, but I will get to have fried chicken is in Atlanta at Gus's Fried Chicken, because I'm going to be attending the Hunter Hotels Investment Conference. And with us right now, Teague Hunter, who's getting ready for the big event, May 10th through 12th. How are you, Teague?
I'm great, Glenn. How are you guys? You're crazy.
Good. Thank you for joining us today on Waffle Talk. We look very excited to talking to you about where you like to get waffles, but you have to make a decision real quick, and you have to stick with it because we don't want you to waffle on making any decisions.
Waffle House. That's easy. Yeah, Waffle House. Next question. Smothered and covered. Let's go.
Yeah. So he knows Waffle House. All right. Thank you so much for joining us here, Teague. I'm excited. I can't wait. Hunter Hotel Investment Conference, again, May 10th through 12th. If you haven't registered now, go ahead and do that. Teague, we were talking just before the show, but let's ask Anthony. Anthony,
yes.
How do you think they are going to be doing in getting people to come to their conference? What's your prediction?
I probably think it exceeded all expectations.
Yes. Teague, tell us a little bit about exceeding expectations and what we can expect.
It's a heck of a tee up. We did, guys, when we started this, we weren't sure what we were doing. We pushed it back, moved back from March. And I think, Glenn, we thought we'd have maybe 300 to 500 people. I checked this morning. We have over 800 people registered. And I think like you guys, like most people that I've talked to, they still haven't registered. So I think there's going to be a lot of, quote, last minute registrations. But the momentum is building. We're excited. It's going to be a great show.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited because I'm going to be hosting a panel with a lot of the leading development folks in there. I can't wait to get in stage in front of real people again.
Yeah. I imagine most people are going to be vaccinated, or a majority of people are going to be vaccinated.
Yeah, Anthony, I mean, listen, we may be in a bubble. We're in Georgia, but I'm double vaccinated. Everyone I know in Atlanta is double vaccinated. We've been going out to bars, restaurants, maybe not bars. I'm too old for that. But we've been traveling. We've been getting out. So it's back to normal. And I will say we're excited for the conference. Listen, we're doing everything safe. We're partnering with Clear. That's a huge thing. I think clears the future. That's what everybody's going to be doing. You go to a sporting event, you go to a concert, you go to a building in New York, you're going to have a clear pass. You're going to have download an app. You answer some questions. We're doing temperature checks for everybody. We're doing masks. We're doing social distancing. We have sort of half the number of people at the conference we're expecting as we've had in the past, but we have twice the space.
Wow.
So I think it's going to work. Everybody's going to feel really good. And I'm excited to get back. We got to see people. We got to shake hands. We got to network. I want to see you guys. I want to talk face to face. The Zoom stuff is effective, but it's not what we're used to. So we got to get back. And we're excited. Sorry, I'm rambling. The other thing I had was talking to Erica, the general manager of the hotel. They're bringing staff back. You know, we're an industry. We got to get going. And they're bringing 30% of their staff back just for our conference.
Wow.
So there's labor, there's employees. They're excited to bring them back. They're grateful that we're here. We're in the hotel industry. Somebody's got to go first. I'm happy to be it. We didn't want to be the guinea pig, but we're going to go. And I think we're going to show we can do it safely. We're going to get everybody out of their house. They're going to go back to the office building. The industry is going to start traveling again. That's what we're most excited for.
Now, here's a question. With my suit, because I like to wear a suit and tie, can I wear shorts or sweatpants?
Anthony, you can wear anything. You look great.
Yeah, it's really funny you should say that, because I've been joking around the house that I'm gonna wear what I do on the show every day. I got my sweatpants, I got my tie-dye Crocs on here. I think I'll be perfect. The perfect conference.
How many people are going to put on their pants for the first time in a year and say, "Oh, these don't fit"?
It's so funny you should say that, because their event is now in 20-ish days. I'm already working on my wardrobe, making sure that everything is set, so I don't have any, little problems buttoning anything when it comes time. You know.
Did you try? Have you tried yet?
So far, so good. Everything fits. Although I do look a little tummy-ish, so I gotta work on that. I'm thinking maybe I'll just wear a muumuu or something like that.
I think the attire is going to be fascinating, because you don't go from sweatpants to a suit and tie. That doesn't work.
No, but I think I am going to go with the jeans, the untucked shirt, and a sport coat kind of look.
It's going to be a wide spectrum. We're going to have a lot of different attire.
For sure. But Teague, this
like a fedora.
Now, the question is what is, if someone said to you, or I'm saying to you, at the end of this conference, what is the one thing you want everybody to know? Just one. What's the one thing that you hope comes out of this conference?
Anthony, I think the energy and enthusiasm, and let's get back to work. We're open for business. Let's go.
Yeah, and I think that's the sentiment. And I think that you guys are going to be riding the crest of positivity right now as we get back to it. So let's talk a little bit about the what people can expect when they go to this conference. Obviously, great networking opportunities. Obviously, you're setting the stage for safety over there. But what are some of the things that they can expect to hear, learn, and experience when they come down to Atlanta, May 10th through 12th?
Yeah, we always have good sessions, so those are going to continue to happen. And again, I think coming together, hey, what did you experience? Here are the troubles that I'm having. Are you seeing the same thing? That's what we've learned. That's part of the networking as well. Oh my goodness, what's occupancy is your hotel running? So is mine. Have you had to furlough everyone? Are you bringing people back? Best practices pre-COVID, and what's the future going to look like? I mean, I can tell you on the brokerage side that there's tons of capital out there right now. The world is just in 2021, it's like a shotgun. Things are opening up very quickly, and the cash is there. We're selling hotels right now at pre-COVID pricing, which we didn't think we'd get to. We pointed to the stock market. Stock market's trading at all-time highs. All the hotel REITs are at all-time highs. I think you're going to hear a lot of that, people talking, which should give people encouragement and enthusiasm. Again, Let's go.
Yeah, that's really interesting to me, because the guests over the last week or so have been telling us that there are no amazing deals out there on the market necessarily. There might be one or two that are hidden from the general public. But other than that, it's really surprising to see how well everybody seems to have gotten back when it comes to saving their businesses and keeping pricing integrity.
I do think it's bifurcated, just like the stock market, right? I mean, hotels are still 50% occupied, and yet the hotel REITs are trading at all-time highs. I think the answer is there's $7 trillion that's been printed. It's got to go somewhere. And right now it's flowing into real estate as much as anywhere else. And we are trading at pre-COVID pricing. In 2020, everybody thought there'd be a 10% to 40% discount.
Right.
Today it is zero. There are no deals. There are no heavy discounts. It is zero.
So What are buyers thinking then?
What are buyers thinking? I think they think the world's going to come opening up in a hurry, and it's going to come rushing back. There's still cheap capital. If you can get debt for the institutional players, the debt is still relatively speaking cheap. It's not open for the individuals yet. We got to get that back open. Once that comes open, I think the smaller stuff. So there's still a little bit of bifurcated. There's still the institutional assets and the non-institutional assets. Institutional is going really well. The non-institutional is not. But they're buying today with a little bit longer term hold. It's all sort of price per key and by the pound, underwriting into the next 5 years. And they're rapid returns.
I would say, in my opinion, an educated consumer is your best customer right now. If the people rushing in to try to get a deal, the people rushing in thinking they're going to take advantage of the hotel space, they're going to come in, they're going to try to get a deal, they're going to get screwed over. Because as you said, it is right now, it's kind of, it depends on where you're sitting at the table. But first of all, money's not cheap, and number two, there's not these great deals that everybody's thinking there are. So if you don't know this space, if you don't understand the numbers, if you don't understand this space, now, in my opinion, now is not the time to get in the space. It's not. No. This is not because you can get hurt.
Correct. I mean, listen, the occupancies are coming back. The ADRs are coming back. Not as much as we want. We've got the leisure travel there. Everyone knows that. We need the business traveler to come back. That's what you guys, the three of us, are going to start doing. And then we need the conventions coming back. That's part of what we're doing at the conference. Let's show that we can do it, that it's going to be safe. I think the second half of this year is going to be super busy with conventions, with business traveler. Oh, by the way, the leisure traveler, if you haven't booked your vacation between now Memorial Day and Labor Day, you're too late. And I think that's what's coming. And that's what's driving the value of assets.
Right, and let me
I'm going on vacation in July, and I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to give people a little educational moment over here. The reason why we're talking about brokerage right now is the Hunter Hotel Advisors is like the nation's leading investment advisory firm focused on it. So they sell hotels, they buy hotels for people. They're the intermediary on that. The Hunter Hotel Investment Conference was born out of that. So we kind of went a little bit backwards in the conversation today, but they're established all over the United States. Anthony, please take it away. So now the people.
Well, I'm just going to say about traveling. There's two things. One, I'm staying at a beautiful hotel in July, and I'm getting a 50% discount because my friend runs the place, and it's still not inexpensive. And number two, do not call anyone in the hotel industry for a discount anytime from now till September 15th. Don't call us. You're not getting a discount because it's almost impossible. It is impossible because people have got to make up. People have got to make up their money from last year. And I have friends calling me, hey, you know this person, you know that person. And a lot of people. I can't make phone calls right now.
No, I always tell people that my magic powers only go as far as to me and whoever's standing directly next to me. I can't do anyone favors. I'm not going to do that for anybody. Nothing personal, but then everybody asks you all the time to hook them up. Teague, I got to tell you, pro tip on my end. I've already bought all my flights for this summer for Alice, for your show. Obviously, I bought like a month ago. I was real bullish on it because I don't want to have an issue. Because I think one of the biggest issues we're going to have, besides being able to book that vacation at the hotel you want, is how much the prices of flights are gonna go up over the summer, right? So, are you taking a vacation this summer, Teague?
We are. We're staying domestic. I'm not going anywhere fun, but no, we got a couple of things, good fun trips planned. We gotta get out. Let's go.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so back to the Hunter Investment Conference. How are you going to be handling meal service and all of that kind of stuff so people could feel comfortable, yet you don't make them feel like it's COVID in your face?
Yeah, no. So one, you know me, Glenn, I'm not in the details. There's an army of people that handle that sort of stuff. But partnering with the Marriott Marquis, again, Erica, they've got a team. We're not the first conference to go. They've got others, but they're doing plate service, they're doing table service. They're handling everything. It's all going to be really streamlined and really safe. I don't have any concern about that. They've done a few. There have been some citywides in Atlanta, which I think is insane. But they're going to make it all safe. The one thing. Go ahead, Anthony. You go.
No, go ahead. I think I'm on a delay. I think I'm on a delay.
All right, Anthony, speak.
If people are going to conferences and people are traveling, people want services. And that's the problem we're running into. I've stayed at hotels recently, and I can't get a bottle of water. I can't get room service. I can't get the chocolate bar. There's no service. And it's not like they're giving me a 90% discount on the room rate. So that's a problem. So during the conference, I would imagine all services are going to be open.
We've asked them to make sure that room service is open, that all the restaurants are open, that all the bars are open. We want all the amenities open for our people, partially so we can spread out. But it's what we expect. I mean, it was one thing during COVID, if you went and traveled and you locked down, you were like, that's fine, I don't want to see anybody. But now that's not the case. If you're paying full price, you want the amenities, you want everything there, you want to act normal, want to pretend that it's normal. And that's what's going to happen.
Right.
So we're excited. We're excited to see it, show everybody that we can do it.
Excellent. Teague, before we wrap up, two things. Number one, check out a video I posted today, which I think Teague would get a lot of use out of. My new plan for how people can greet each other by having a logo on your badge, whether or not you want to do a fist bump, whether or not you want to do an elbow bump, et cetera, to make the to lower the awkwardness. Anthony, don't make that face at me. It's a great idea. I don't want to hear anything.
If you're going to a conference, shake hands. Come on.
But not everybody's going to do that.
Then don't go to the conference. Then don't go to the conference. Make sure you're vaccinated and shake hands. That's
all right. I love the flippant answer. Perfect.
No,
Teague?
it's not flippant. It's just my opinion. It's like, listen, if I'm not vaccinated, I'm not going to a conference. But if I'm vaccinated, I'm going to shake your hand. That's just me. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm saying my opinion.
I'm going to do that, but I'm just saying there are people out there that might want options. That's all.
I'm going to kiss you. I'm going to kiss you right on the mouth.
Well, be ready for a little French loving right back at you, Anthony. Teague.
Anthony, I think you're right, though. I think it's going to be fascinating to see what happens and how people interact. And you have a first to see how that happens so we can get through the awkwardness and then move on.
All right.
I will tell you, I'm not getting any awkwardness from anyone. Everyone is putting their hand out. I haven't done, and nobody's doing this. Everybody's putting their hand out.
Agreed. I'm getting hugs.
Yeah. Apparently, I'm getting a French kiss from Glenn.
You guys are making out. It's cute.
Maybe.
Cute, great couple.
We'll see how the rest of the show goes, Anthony. Teague, how about one big push? Tell us a little bit more about the conference, but more importantly, how they could register now to get you over that 1,000-person mark.
Yeah, so the best place is to go online, hunterconference.com, go on to the Hunter Conference and register. A lot of people are showing up. What I find interesting is some of our corporate clients who couldn't get, from liability standpoint, couldn't get corporations to let them go. They're getting special requests, special approval to go. And I think that's the start of their business travel. So they're excited to use our conferences, them getting back out there and doing it again. And I think you're going to see that all over. So come join us May 10th, 11th, 12th, Atlanta, Georgia, Marriott Marquis. It's going to be fantastic. Can't wait.
And we will be broadcasting live from there, so I can't wait for that either. Anthony?
I got a question for you. A friend of mine just wrote a book, and he may be at your conference. Is he allowed to hand out copies of or sell his book at your conference?
Sure. They got to be autographed. He's got to give me a copy.
Yeah. Be sure to get the adapters right now, which I did with Sean Worker over there. You can see his name. You can see my name there. So
you better bring a bunch of copies.
Bunch.
Yeah, I will, for sure, if I remember to do that. All right.
There's no books? I thought it was only podcasts these days.
No, man. Actually, what's interesting about this book, and thank you for teeing it up unknowingly to you, but we have all these great QR codes in here that refer back to a website that's got in-detailed interviews and all sorts of other great content. So not just the book, it's an entire platform, as they like to say up there in Silicon Valley.
How long have you and Glenn been friends?
Oh, a long time. Now you're making us both old.
So how many times did he ask you to quote in the book or to write a chapter in the book? It must have been COVID. My phone wasn't ringing.
All right. This is going downhill very fast.
It's Glenn. It's good to see you're actually working during COVID, though.
I figured I didn't work for the rest of my career. I might as well get started, right?
Do something now. Yeah, good point.
All right, man. In just a couple of weeks. Can't wait.
Can't wait. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Be good. Have a good afternoon. All right.
Sorry, was that awkward? Was that awkward for you that I called you out, that you didn't ask him to quote in your book?
You know what? I love when you make things awkward for me because I have to dig deep to think of something clever to say, and I need that exercise.
And you had nothing. You had nothing.
I never do. But what are you going to do? Hopefully, yeah.
Make sure you bring your book. Don't forget your book, bro. You got to bring like 20 copies of your book.
I know. I will. That's an absolutely point, and I could sell them right there. All right. From one, I'm sort of author to a real author coming back to the show, we got Mr. Dan Cockerell. You might know him from his last appearance on the show where we talked about how's the culture in your kingdom, an incredible book he wrote on leadership lessons. Dan, great to see you, sir.
Glenn, Anthony, how are y'all doing?
Good. I'm a little disappointed you don't have that amazing vista behind you, sir.
I was going to say the same thing.
My vista?
Yeah, when you were in Colorado, you had like the mountains behind you. It was gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. Well, we live there now. I'm looking out the window the other way, and it snowed like 6 inches last night here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of crazy.
So we're going for an afternoon hike.
So why don't we get a view of that beautiful view? We don't get a view?
I'll send you a picture.
Yeah, thank you. But Anthony, you do get his awesome looking hair today. Perfectly.
Dude,
cloth.
I was going to
Yeah, Anthony, you're pretty militaristic about that whole handshake, man. You got to get into a middle ground there and work with people on that.
you do whatever makes you comfortable.
All right.
I will.
So the reason why we got Dan back here today is to talk about leadership, talk a little bit about, I don't know what happened to him just there. Oh, now he dropped off. I'm sure he'll be back. All right. So Dan, I'm looking forward to talking to you a little bit about leadership lessons and how, as we are getting back to it, how do we go from, from 0 to 60 and doing it in a meaningful way? But before we really get into that, we just had on Teague Hunter talking about the Hunter Hotel Investment Conference. What are you thinking about as people try to get back out there and reorient themselves to humanity and social interactions that we might not have had before for a while?
Yeah, it's I think people need just to be very extremely thoughtful and planful. Because the environment people are going back into is much different than it was previously.
Right.
And if you just assume everything is business as usual, you are going to get into some difficult situations. And my wife and I have been at a couple conferences over the past few months. Actually the past month. And they didn't think it through because some people are still, obviously they're very reticent about certain things. Buffets. When you have 400 people at a conference, there's a buffet. Well, the buffets aren't out there because of COVID. So now they have buffets behind glass and people are serving. We went to a conference and it was a 40-minute wait because they only had 4 tables set up to serve because buffets go slower when they're being served to you. If someone had just put in a little bit of time and training and said, you know what, let's do a tabletop exercise. Let's actually look how this thing's going to flow and what is going to happen that we're not expecting. You could figure out a lot of these things. One conference we were at, they decided not to give breaks because every time you have people leaving the room and coming back in, there's a lot of conversation and social distancing not being looked at. So every presentation, by the end of the morning, they were like 30 or 40 minutes ahead of schedule. Because when you don't have breaks, no one ever comes back on time. They gave breaks, but they had them in the room. So when 15 minutes was over, 15 minutes was over. In a real conference, you don't really start till 20 or 25 minutes later.
Right.
And so I think people just don't go into this and just put a little due diligence in. Sit down with your people, ask your employees, what are you worried about? What is it what equipment are we going to need? How are our clients going to act differently? Maybe call a few clients going, hey, when you visit, what are you going to do differently that you weren't doing before? Your customers have all the answers you need. You just got to go ask them. Don't let it be till the morning of you start thinking about these things.
Right. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. A lot of planning. That's why I liked you hadn't popped on backstage when we first started talking to Teague about his event, but they've partnered with Clear and the Health Pass, which I love because I think it helps set that stage for people feeling more comfortable. How do you feel about doing things like that?
Yeah, there's I think some of it we call about is optics and some is actual safety precautions, and some things fall in the middle. And I think you're sending a message to people that, you know what, I'm going to take your temperature check. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm have COVID or not, but when people see you having been organized enough to take those extra precautions, they make the assumption you're thinking about all the other things you should be doing. Right. And that gives people peace of mind, I think. Yeah.
Speaking about peace of mind, I got some peace of mind here because Anthony's.
Wait! I want to back up, Dan. I'm sorry that I was so aggressive on my handshake, but it's not. This is my feeling. What's great about this country is do whatever you want. So I want to, I feel like I'm not going unless I'm vaccinated. If I'm vaccinated, I'm going to shake your hand. If you don't want to shake my hand, you want to wave, fantastic. If you want to hug me, fantastic. So it's to each his own. So I was just militant because that's my way of doing it. So
I
people
agree
know
with
when
you.
they see me, they can shake my hands. And they got to get back to your hair and your beard, man. It's just too on point. It's just me and Ben are just very jealous.
Well, what I do this for, like when we're not traveling, I do this, and then when I shave it, my wife's like, "Wow, you look so much younger." So
But you could be a beard, hair, and face model. How about that?
I'm going to keep my day job. If I really get in a tough bind, I'll give that a go.
Well, fortunately, events are coming back, and I'm sure you're going to be getting set up with a lot of great speaking engagements in the future. I know Anthony and I are hoping that we can nail down some of those too for the fall and into next winter. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Everybody out there, got 3 guys here you can hire. Anthony,
can I ask Dan a question? You may have asked him or not. I'm not sure.
Yes, you have my permission.
Unfortunately, I had to take a little bit of an important phone call. So
I figured something happened. Yeah.
Yeah. And I usually don't do that. I've only done that twice. Sorry about that, Glenn. Apparently the person that called me, I tell him every single time, don't call me at noon to 1 ever. And he calls me noon to 1.
Call from noon to 1.
Right. So Dan, give me a moment in the last year where you had to say, I'm Dan. Like, I wrote a book on this stuff. Like, why am I having this tough moment? And then when you had that tough moment, what did you do if that happened?
Oh, yeah. So, back in March, I think a lot of people got this. We had stuff set up. We had worked over like a 6-month period. We got 1 gig in Australia. And once we got that as the kind of the hook, we called others and set up some other things. And, obviously within a week or 2, it was gone. It was terrible. So my wife and I looked at each other. We're still in Orlando and said, this whole entrepreneurship thing was really cool until people stopped calling. Now it's not as fun. Like on Thursday, I checked our bank account and we didn't get paid like I did at Disney.
Yeah.
So we sort of took this approach. We said, all right, let's hunker down because we know we could spin our wheels to do a bunch of stuff we know is not going to happen. Or we can start to do something. And I've learned over time, it's a whole concept about having a growth mindset, creating your own luck, creating opportunities for yourself. So a couple things we did. I'd met a professor and we had talked like 6 months earlier. He said, you guys should create an undergrad college course. That'd be really cool if you create a course about Disney based on your book. Your book could be the textbook. I said, yeah, it's a great idea, but we're traveling and doing speeches and stuff. So maybe someday. Well, someday came really fast.
Right.
So my wife called our daughter who just graduated from, she was getting ready to graduate from the University of Colorado and said, hey, you're unemployed. We're going to help keep supporting you, but you're going to work for us for that. And she said, great. So they spent 2 months creating an undergrad 13-week college course.
Wow.
Reading quiz, final exam, case studies, videos, and we produced all of that. And we're now we sold it. We piloted it at Suffolk Community College for 2 semesters, and I hooked up with an organization, educators.com, or myeducator.com is now going to sell it. So we wouldn't have created that if COVID hadn't happened, so we wouldn't have had the time.
Which
so
subject are you talking about? Like Suffolk County, where I live, Massachusetts, or
where you live?
Oh, in Long Island.
Yeah.
Hey, I took a Spanish class at Suffolk Community College in 1989, and much to the relief of everyone, I passed. Thank you very much.
There you go.
¿Cómo está usted? ¿Cómo está usted?
Bien, y usted. That's about it.
And the other thing I did, I said, okay, what else can I do? I said, well, the Zoom thing seems like a pretty big deal. So I sent out a note to all the people who kind of get my free article every week and said, who wants to get on a call every week and talk about what's going on? And like 250 people responded. And so I kind of looked at it. I picked out the entrepreneurs and the individuals, and I did company people after and created 10 Zoom meetings. So every 2 weeks, we got to a different group from 1 to 2 p.m. every afternoon in Orlando, and we talked for an hour. How are you handling COVID? What's going on in your country? We had people from Uruguay, Australia, Europe, Canada, United States. And we'd help each other. We'd talk to each other. We'd give each other moral support. There were some entrepreneurs that had coffee shop. And we like talk to him? How do you do delivery? How can you, so we did this online community for 3 months for free. And then when that was all done, I said, you know what? I was always afraid to do this because I didn't know how it would work. I didn't know what my role would be. And so when we were done with it, we launched a subscription online community that I've been doing now for 3 or 4 months, and that people pay $49 a month. We have calls. We have a closed Facebook site. We support each other. We give each other entrepreneurial advice. We have speakers come on, and I turn that into a business. And once again, if I hadn't had COVID, I wouldn't have had that time to sort of practice that, to figure out it's something I could do. So it's the whole thing. When a door closes, are you going to sit around and wait till it opens? Or are you going to go do something else? And maybe that something else isn't going to pay off, but you know what? You don't know. And if you don't go try it, you're just going to be sitting in the same place you were a year ago and have lost a year. And so we just don't want to lose time. And so sometimes you got to go figure out something else and push yourself into something else. And so coming out of this, we feel good that we still know how to do workshops. I still know how to do keynote speeches. And we have this education thing under our belt and this online community thing under our belt. Now, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of stress. It was a lot of stuff we had to learn, but just don't waste time. Don't let the situation put you at its mercy. Go ahead and figure out a different way. And
does your wife still like you?
That's the wife never did.
She's every once in a while she says, you know what, when you left Disney, you said you were going to start this company. I feel like I'm doing more than you now. And I said, well, that's why we're a team, honey. And I try to manage it, but it's definitely, and we had moments during that time in quarantine where it was not, we had bad days. It's like, we're spending a lot of time together here, and you just got to get through that. And that's, everyone goes through all that stuff, and it got stressful at times. Yeah.
Right. I think the message that you're saying here, Dan, is you might as well seize the day now, because in 6 months, it's going to be 6 months later than now. Yeah. You might as well have do something to put yourself in a better position when the inevitable happens. Right. Yeah.
And everyone thinks that's some inspirational self-help thing. I'm like, no, it's a real life thing. You go do something today. If you're sitting around, you're worried, go do something. Go just do something. It might lead to something. It might not. But it's always better to do that than just sit there and hope. Hope is, as my dad says, hope is not a strategy.
Right, you got that right. That's why I did multiple things on during this. Anthony and I started this show, and of course we got the adapters. Go right now to theadapters.net, buy it on Amazon.com, and several other things too, because not everything is going to work. You have to experiment. You have to take risk, and you have to put yourself out there. How do you feel now after taking those risks? And do you have a sense of accomplishment? Do you feel like you're in a better position now?
Yeah, absolutely. And the monetary value of those businesses is TBD. We'll see if they really scale and grow, and they may or may not. But the biggest thing I found that helped me was when you continue to create new mediums and get into new things, all these are connected. So what will happen is I will be, the other day we got on a call with my online community. I said, hey, I have a topic if you all want to talk about, because I'm working with a client and we're going to be doing some surveys and some action, some planning for them on burnout. What do y'all think about that? And we had a great 1 hour conversation on burnout. They were my source of information. They learned a lot. I got a lot out of it, and that connected to this client. Then I work with the client, and I may come up with a new idea while I'm doing something to add a new module into the course. So all this stuff overlaps, and it builds on each other. So it's not like these are independent processes or projects that have no value to each other. It helps you continue to think about things in a new way. And I get to interact with students now. And now I'm getting inside the heads of students. What do they want to learn? What are they worried about coming out of college? And I can start thinking. So we're starting to think about now is, what if we wrote a book for students coming out of college about how to think about creating their own luck and getting diverse opportunities. And so it's certainly all connected. And if you look at it in silos, you don't see the value of it. But as long as you're staying on the topic, it helps you further your expertise in the topic.
Right. Makes sense. Anthony, did you have something that you wanted to say?
I was just going to say, we talked about burnout. I'm feeling, actually, to be honest with you, I'm feeling a little burnt out. I need a vacation. And this morning, something happened. He gave me 20 minutes or a half hour. I went to get some waffles. I was pissed off about what happened, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do something I don't do. I never have time to go explore a city. It was only a little while. I'm telling you, maybe it was 15 minutes. I walked around the block. I went to 2 or 3 different places. I got lost in an alleyway. and I saw Pittsburgh, and I saw some history I didn't happen here. And I know it's just 15 or 20 minutes, but I did something. I did something to escape why I was pissed off, and I just let it go. Because when I get that pissed off, which is rare, I don't really get that angry, but I was, and I wasn't shouting, but I was feeling like I feel because I'm getting burnt out, I need to do something. I was going to the gym, but I didn't want to. So I just walked around Pittsburgh and I felt better, and I had some waffles. And I came across a quote, and I posted on my Instagram last night, which I really like. And it's, your lack of commitment is an insult to everybody who believes in you. And I really, really love that quote, because sometimes we get so caught up, we think we're doing it for ourselves, and we're really not. We're doing it for our fan club. Our fan club could be our daughter. Our fan club could be our wife. Our fan club could be, your fan. It could be your partner. It could be whoever. And so your lack of commitment is really letting everybody around you down. And then, of course, you're letting yourself down. But sometimes you don't look at it that way. And once I read that, I was like, oh, all right. So when I'm not feeling it, I understand it's not about me. So I don't know. I just think right now, whether you're Dan and you wrote a book, or whether you're Glenn and wrote a book, or if we're doing a podcast every day, or you're running a multi-million-dollar business, everybody got kicked. And and coming out of it, everyone is going to see. Now what's happening is we all went into zero. So you were doing great. You had a book and you worked for Disney, and it was wonderful. And you're going to start this new adventure, right? And then all of a sudden you went to zero. Everybody went to zero. And now we almost felt comfortable about that, because we're not competing against each other anymore. We're all kind of in this comfortable blanket of misery. We have no choice. We have no choice. We just have to sit and watch Netflix, because, like you said, we can waste resources, waste time, and waste money, or we can just kind of take our time and reconnect. And now
you should have said, "Stay home and watch Disney Plus, not Netflix."
But was it really that important to interrupt me?
Yes.
Okay. So now as we're getting out of this is the interesting part, because I'm already starting to see it. I'm already starting to see some business doing great. Some people are still kind of in a fog of like, what do I do? Do I even shake hands? Do I get the vaccination? What am I doing? Do I like? We're out. Like I can go to a Hunter conference. I can get on a plane. I can go on vacation. What do you mean Disney World is more expensive? The hotel rooms are more expensive in the summer. I'm still in my little corner. I don't want to compete. I don't want to have to do stuff now. So we all are going to come to this in our own way. And whatever helped you get through COVID and this moment, be proud of yourself, because you got through it. Be proud of yourself that you handled it, whether you handled it well or you didn't handle it great. You handled it. And I think we all need to understand that. Give ourselves a break.
Yeah, Anthony, to hook on real quick with something you said, which, when you were frustrated, you decided to go take a walk. So there's a certain amount of self-awareness there, because you could have gone and called more people and gotten into it with people, and knowing emotionally how you're feeling is important. And a lot of people just think, and I wake up some mornings and I'm like, I wake up, I do a call with someone and I'm like, I didn't like how they went through that. And I go downstairs and I talk to my wife and I'm like, she's got an attitude today. And sometimes I stop and I go, you know what? Maybe no one changed. Maybe today, I don't know what's going on, but I'm perceiving everyone differently. In those cases, I have a choice to disengage and go, you know what? Not a good day. I'm just going to have low interaction today. And then you get the next day and you're feeling good again, because you're stressed about stuff. You're worried about stuff. And most people, it's natural when you get stressed or something, you start looking at whose fault is this and why are they doing this to me, versus going, you know what? Let me just calm down, think, reconstitute myself and get ready to get back out again.
But you know what? You know what's important for me? What's important to me is to figure out why it happened, who's to blame, and just delete it. Right? So I want to know why it happened. So it's like, all right, was it me? No, not my fault. Okay, nope, I did everything I said I was going to do. All right, they let me down. I'm pissed off about that. So what? Move it aside. Okay, but for me, the way I operate, I need to establish what happened. I need to establish blame. Once I establish that blame, I decide to do what to do with that blame. And typically, it's set it aside. Unless it falls on my lap. Then if it falls on my lap, I take myself out to the woodshed and I yell at myself and I'm disappointed in myself. If it falls on somebody else's lap, I put it in a box and I decide, what am I doing with that? All right. That person doesn't need a conversation right now. That person doesn't need an email right now. That person has got his own crap or her own crap. I'm just putting that in a box. It goes away. I'm going to go take a walk. So to me, that's how I think, because I don't like calling people out that don't realize they did something wrong. If you swear up on me and you're being disrespectful, that's a whole different story. But if you're doing something that affected me and I didn't feel good about that, I'm probably not going to call you out on it. I'm just going to put it away and just let it go. I may never do business with you again, but life's too short to be angry.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So one question from Richard Majewski. Are there conferences and trade shows opening up in the States? He comes from London. Yes, we got Hunter in May, as we discussed, Alice in July, AHOA and HD Expo in August, and then in the fall, a lot more. So we're going to be up and running full bore. But Dan, you were talking a little bit about that burnout issue. And yesterday on this very program, we had on Sloan Dean. He's the CEO of Remington Hotels, a company that manages about 80 properties around the United States. And he's talking about how short-staffed they have been at the hotels. They're trying to hire more than 500 people right now. And the folks that are there, the folks that are on the front line servicing the guests, they're going to that point where they could get burnout. What do you talk to companies about on how to help their employees not suffer burnout and therefore maybe quit or just can't function in the workplace?
Yeah. So I know I mentioned it, and I've done some research on this lately to understand. So one of the things, I won't get all the way into it, but there's a difference between stress and burnout.
Right.
Because we all get under stress. Burnout is the next step of that, which, under stress, you're highly active trying to keep up. Burnout, you disengage. So it's the next step of really, and it's, you don't want it to get to that point. The huge thing, and once again, there's no concept I'm going to tell you haven't heard about before, but communication is just the key. And once again, a couple of clients we're working for, they are growing by leaps and bounds, and people are stressed and they're like, there's so much work. I said, well, get on and communicate with your people on a regular basis. Tell your employees regularly, we know where we are today. Here's our growth and here's our plan. Here's what we're doing right now. We are now doing referral bonuses. We are now going, and we have 2 professional recruiters stepping up. We have decided we're going to step back with one project and delay it a month because we don't have the resources. Because when people hear that whatever they're dealing with is being addressed and there's a plan, they'll put up with stuff for a long time because they know there's a solution coming. The way I compare it to when you're in traffic and you're at a standstill, how long does it take to be at a standstill before you ramp up quickly? You're like, I haven't moved in 30 seconds. But when you're inching along, you'll inch along for a long time before you'll really lose it. But if you're not making any progress, and I think that some of the senior executives are so busy trying to fix the problem, they forget to tell everyone about it. Hey, here's what we're doing. So I would tell if you're leading an organization, find your communications person and say, look, I need you to make sure the story's being told regularly. Let's sit down. I don't have time to think about the message, but I want you to talk to me, put together messaging, tell me when you need me to do a video, tell me when we need to send information out, and tell people what the plan is. And if you have multi-hotels all over the country, make sure they're all hearing the same story about what we're doing as an organization, that we have a great problem. We're too busy. But that being said, when people work a lot, they get to a point where they're going to get burned out. There's a plan in place, and we're going to keep telling you what's going on, and we are going to be really good on the recognition. And we're going to tell everyone, hey, you know what? I don't know what to do right now. You got $5,000 a week to do whatever you want for your staff right now, because I know how short-staffed you are, and I know how busy it is. So whether it's giving people cash, buying them lunch every day, just go do something or ask them what they want. Let's spend a little extra money right now while we're so short-staffed and generating this revenue. It's not going to be a long-term thing, but we're in emergency mode, and let's treat them right during this time, and they'll give you so much more if you just take time to slow down and do that.
We had a couple of CEOs on this week, that they're on planes and they're flying to each one of their hotels. Remington's one of them, and everybody's flying out and seeing their staff, which I think is hyper critical, especially because we're coming. It's interesting, right? You never get a gift, and then you get a gift, and then all of a sudden you open it up, and sometimes there's a turd in it, right? So the gift is that we're opening up. The gift is that we're busy. But then the turn is no one wants to come to work. It's like everybody. I was just talking to a doorman yesterday at the hotel, and I was like, "So how long were you out?" He goes, "We're out almost a year." And so I was asking him, how were you furloughed and medical benefits and all that? I was just curious. And I said, well, how many of them did they call? How many Bellman and doormen they called? He said, all of them. How many came back? He goes, 2. It was me and another guy. I said, why? He said, because they're waiting, you're going to wait out your unemployment and wait till September. I said, how long have they been in the hotel? Some of them have been in the hotel 15 years, 10 years. It's like, how about there's not a job? They're taking the risk. I was shocked by that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't a job at Dunkin' Donuts. It was like a Bellman job at a good hotel, which I said to him, you make a good living? Well. He goes, I put my daughters through a private college. So yeah, it's a job. So I don't understand taking that risk.
Yep. Yeah, there's it's true. There's a psychology. I don't think we're going to understand it in the future historically, but there's people, their life has been majorly impacted and they've learned to be hunkered down. And there is a stress, there's an anxiety about getting back out there and interacting with people, losing some social skills. I mean, that whole routine is it's people are going to have to unlearn that and re-engage. And I think companies are underestimating how much they got to engage with people and talk to them and engage and discuss with them and understand the issues at hand. And a lot of them are like, hey, we're getting busy again. Just start calling people. It's like, no, this wasn't like a snowstorm. This was like a year where people are seeing the whole world in a whole different way.
Right.
And a lot of them are still scared. They're reevaluating what's important to them. It's like, do I really need what I needed before? Because I didn't want to stop going out to dinner every night and going to the movies and traveling, but I did it. And maybe I realized I'm still pretty happy. So maybe I can live a lot more below my means. Long-term, I think that's a great learning for Americans, but short-term, it's causing a lot of issues because we're all about productivity and growth, and it's capitalism at its best. So.
That's fascinating. It sounds to me what we're really talking about here is physics and the law of inertia, right? An object that's in motion tends to stay in motion. And the opposite is true. Yeah. When we all stopped for such a long time, we almost forgot, like you were just saying, how to get to it and how to get those engines started. So let's switch over to that leadership thing. You got these teams coming back. People are totally disoriented. Their lives are now upside down again. They've gone from upside down, maybe potentially right side up. But how do you engage people when they first come back? How do you make sure they feel part of the team? How do you get the best out of them so they could be productive and not hit that burnout category that we've been talking about? Yeah.
And I know this word is way overused, but it is engagement. It is being thoughtful. It is when the first day back, you say, you know what? You're back today. We're not putting you on the line. We're not going to put you at the front desk. We'd like to get you. We're going to have a reorientation. We're going to do a retraining. We're going to have a lunch, talk about how life has been for the past year. We want to talk about what's on your mind. How's your family doing? And then tomorrow we're going to get you started in training. That's counterintuitive. In the hospitality industry, you're in, we reset your password, go start checking people in.
Right.
So just think about, there has to be a transition. There has to be a thoughtful onboarding. And I just think leaders get so busy, managers get so busy just trying to keep the fires from putting the fires out. They don't think about this stuff. And what I found is my experiences at Disney was pretty good about this. When we wanted to do something well, we didn't tell people, hey, your day job's here. And by the way, we just decided we're going to do this too and go do this really well. We'd bring on another person. So if I was running a hotel today, I would take one of my managers who's highly empathetic, great at talking to people, connects with people, and say, you know what, for the next 6 months, as we bring people back, you're going to be the chief people person. And when people come, you are going to make sure you're going to have a live scorecard for me on how people are feeling, why people aren't coming to work. You are going to know everyone's story. You're going to let me know what we can do for them. Do people need a loan? Do they need help with daycare? You're just going to be the hyper care person for them. And I'm going to continue to run this place because my board or my owner is saying, I got to make money. They don't really understand this onboarding. Let's get people transition piece. So instead of telling your managers and send them an email, say, hey, everyone be nice and be empathetic, go select someone and let them be a temporary role to take on this position and do this. And when you have, as we used to say at Disney, if someone's not waking up every morning only thinking about this, it's not going to happen the quality level you want it to happen to. And somehow we think that managers can do both. and they're dealing with short staffing, call-ins, and we're telling them to slow down, take their time. Those don't go together. So restructure your organization so you can handle this issue right now. And when people get back to quote unquote normal, then you can restructure again and go back to business as usual. But you need new roles if you want to do this well and take care of people over the long term.
Right. Now, my adapters partner, Sean Worker, says often we have to slow down so we could go fast. Mm-hmm. And I take that as really understanding everything that's going on, what the new rules of engagement are going to be, and be very precise about your plan going forward. I love what you're saying, Dan, about having a chief people person or a chief people officer. Anthony?
Yeah, I like the words hypercare. I like that. It's like right now we need hypercare. And I was just talking to someone, and they have a new person in charge of this business. And they said, "What do you think of this person?" And they said, I'm being very vague here, so no one can tie it back to it. And what do you think of this person? Well, this person's got all these good skills, all these business skills, but we're not sure that person can engage really well with the team. And to me now, the engagement of the team really from that position can't be leased out. I think that position's got to have the hypersensitivity and skill. I'll give you a little thing that happened this morning. Again, a little pissed off. I walk around the block. I'm seeing Pittsburgh. I'm forgetting about what I was pissed off about. And I walk to this waffle place, and this young lady, she just looks like she just works hard. And it's a breakfast place, so the breakfast, the checks aren't that big, and the tips aren't that big. And she's very, very nice. And I said, and Glenn knows this about me when I walk in the restaurant. I always ask the waiter or waitress, "What will you have?" And they tell me, and I had what she would have, and it was the waffles with fruit, and it was great. And she was she maybe 25. She engaged me. She was very, very sweet, and I doubled. I gave her more than the check was worth. Okay. And as I was walking out, she looked at me. I get emotional. She looked at me. She put her hand on my shoulder and she says, "Thank you." But when she said thank you, it wasn't like thank you. It was like, no, like thank you. Like, I know what you did and I appreciate it. But I know what she did. She gave me a moment where I needed to just escape. I didn't need your attitude. I didn't need the business of your restaurant. I just need somebody to be nice to me, and I need to eat freaking breakfast and leave me alone. I was having that kind of morning. And she was just perfect. And then that she appreciated that was even bigger to me than the service. She really, really appreciated it. That's the sensitivity we need coming at us. That's the care we need coming at us. Those are the employees we need. And what's going to happen, Dan, and you got to fix this, Dan, because this is what you do for them, okay? You got to make sure people are hiring people because there's nobody else to hire. And that is going to happen, and that's going to be at a hyper level. That's going to be at a level that we've never seen before. I talk about it all the time. Don't hire people just for one body. It will destroy your culture. It will destroy your company. It will cost you more money.
Yep.
Coming out of this, it's going to be 10 times worse.
Yep.
Interesting. So Dan,
I know you need Dan to fix it. Dan, you're gonna fix it.
You got a book. How's the culture in your kingdom? How do you suggest people preserve that? Good one, guys backstage. How do you preserve that culture and make sure as you're trying to get people back up to speed that you do it right and not fall into the trap that Anthony is talking about? Holy cow, we need people. We'll just take that individual.
Yeah, well, as Anthony is saying, you have to be disciplined because it's hard to not do that. But long term, when we think about what you hire people, what the things you think about when you hire them, skills, passion, and attitude.
Right.
And skills at Disney, most people, we don't care what skills they have because we're going to train them. Mm-hmm. Passion, that's important. Why do you want to be here? Is it because you just can't get another job, or do you like Disney, or what is that about? Attitude is the overall most important thing out of everything, because people with attitude are internally motivated. Regardless of how bad the situation is, regardless of how much they're being paid, they just have a personal pride, a personal drive to just cut through barriers and figure stuff out, because that's how they're wired. And when you can get people like that, everything changes, and they'll do the work of two people. So I think that, as Anthony's saying, you may decide, we are short term. It's easy to take the cash and say we're gonna ramp up with whoever we can get. But longer term, it's not sustainable, because you're going to lose. Not only are you not going to get the right people, you're going to lose the people who fit in your culture because they want to be with high performers, and it just all builds on each other. And it's hard, but that's where you just got to draw the line and go, we're thinking about this long term. We're not thinking about short term. And then you got to convince whoever's trying to push you for short term results to understand that strategy.
I was talking to the Bellman yesterday, and I was trying to get an Uber, and it was very difficult. And we were just talking. The more I stayed out there, the more engaged. And then he's from Pittsburgh. He lives around the corner from the hotel. And he was like, yeah, these Uber drivers, they're trying to get, I forgot what he used, maybe hot ticket. You're trying to get the hot ticket to the airport, They got to understand, you got to grind every day. You got to grind. And sometimes you get, and sometimes you get around the corner. It doesn't matter. You just got to grind. You just got to work. And like, he's been doing this for 35 years. He's been a Bellman and doorman around Pittsburgh hotels. And the man looked like he got the job yesterday. And he was like, yeah, they're sitting on the couch. They're collecting unemployment. I just gotta go. I gotta take care of my guests. And as he's talking to me, there's two people that pull up, and he's moving cones for them. And he said, no problem. He's getting me a cab. He's trying to get me the Uber. He's trying to call the car service. And again, he got a really good tip because he wasn't doing it for the tip. He was just doing it because of his attitude. And I think, Dan, that is such an important thing. You just taught me something, because I always say passion changes everything. It's really attitude changes everything. And I agree. Because your attitude changes everything. That young lady this morning could have been in a bad mood, would have changed those waffles would have been terrible. The worst waffles I've ever had. They turned into be the best waffles I've ever had.
Story about how he had maybe a negative attitude, and he was perceiving that the other people around him were the ones that maybe had the issue. So that's all really fascinating, right, Anthony?
And real quick, let me jump in. I'll tell you, Matthew had put something on there about this self-motivation and getting the cortisol going. And, my stress reliever is exercise. Go exercise. And last week, it wasn't a good week. I was overwhelmed. I felt like there's too much coming, and the weather wasn't great. And I talked myself out of not doing stuff. And I could just feel I'm just like, I got to do something. And so finally I got up the other morning. The last thing I want to do is go run.
Right.
Put my shoes on and my shorts. I started running. And the first mile, I'm like, this is horrible. I hate this. I'm cold. I just want to go back home and work because I got so much work to do. And then I got a few miles into the run, and I'm like, this is the best thing I could have done. And it changed my whole perspective. Right. So it is. How do you get a hold of yourself? It was Michelle MacArthur. Yeah. Said that. How do you kind of say, look, I got to get myself out of this funk and do that. Sometimes other people can help you do that. When I used to get home from work, sometimes I'd walk in and my wife would look at me and say, why don't you go for a run? And then we'll kind of talk. Or some night she's like, forget the run. Here's a beer. Right. A few beers. But sometimes someone will help you, and sometimes you help yourself. But it's easy to just get in that downward spiral. And the better you know yourself, the more you're going to know how to get yourself out of it.
There's a gentleman that I can't remember his name. I wish I could. And there's actually a young lady too. They're both keynote speakers. They're both engaged. They're all over. They're online everywhere. And neither one of them have arms or legs. And really, like, what the hell is going on in my life that I can't get out of bed in the morning? These people have no arms and no legs. Mm-hmm. And they have more positivity and more a great attitude than I'll ever have. So that's what I use. I just think of those people, and I'm like, really? I'm having a bad day because somebody said something that pissed me off. Give me a break. So that's kind of, as I got older, like, I don't really have bad days because I just think of people like that. I think of people even during COVID that are no longer here. Like, coming out of COVID, there are, like, we're getting out of COVID, we're going forward. You're building your business. We're gonna be doing things, right? There's some people that are not getting out of it. So COVID is their beginning and end. And for their families, a lot of times it's their family's beginning and end. And so that helps me because I realize stop being, a wussy. I don't feel sorry for myself very often. It's like, just get over yourself. So I literally yell at myself. That's me. I self-motivate myself. But sometimes I curse myself out in my head.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I think it's pretty strange that our brains don't want us to be healthy and don't want us to exercise, and we have to fight against ourselves for something that's good for our entire system. I just always thought that was really strange, really hard for me.
Because it's hard work.
Yeah, I know, but you would think the brain would be like, hey, we want to have some self-preservation here, right?
Yeah. Saved my life. I love it.
Yeah, we're evolving out of it. It used to be if you can't run fast, you're not going to eat, and you'll probably get eaten. And then thousands of years later, I was even talking to someone the other day. They talked about exercise. Even when I was growing up, I mean, in my Chevy Impala, you had to at least roll the window up and down. Today you hit a button for everything. So that our whole world has become designed for us not to physically do things, and so we have to be disciplined to figure out how to replace that, because that's an epidemic in my mind.
I want everybody to think about this, because this happened to me the other night. My remote control fell, and it fell between where I sit normally in my house, my chair, and my little desk that's next to me. And in order to get my remote, I had to get up and reach for my couch or my chair. So instead, I just grabbed my phone because I wanted to change the channel. I was watching ESPN and I wanted to go watch something else. And I just grabbed my phone. An hour later, I realized I was too damn lazy to get up and change the channel.
Yeah.
We've all that. We've all done that. It's
that's what the one-click buy from Amazon is for, so you can get yourself a new one and not actually have to reach the couch cushions. Dan, we're getting towards the top of the hour. We are at the top of the hour. We're going to have to wrap up soon, but
shameless plug time.
Before that, and we will get to the shameless plugs. What do you want people to take away? How they can empower themselves and their staff in a leadership situation to be as successful as possible going forward?
Yeah. So, and I'll use my book, because that's how I think about this, and it's laid out that way. The first section of my book
now at Amazon.com. Go grab a copy.
There you go.
For you.
It's all about leading self. The whole first section. And when we published it, our publisher said, you know what? People are looking for a management leadership book, and this feels like a self-help book. And I said, no, you got to start with yourself first. So if you're a leader, you're a manager in one of these organizations, you're a CEO, you're a general manager, you better get yourself in order and make sure you're feeling good. You can't go in and fake it. You can't be home and not be exercising and have problems and not deal with stuff, and not be organized and not plan ahead. Because if you do that, you're just going to be having an uphill battle. So focus on yourself first. Be selfish and make sure you're spending time for yourself, whatever that is, whether it's taking a walk around the city, whether it's exercising, whether it's meditating, whether it's like going to learn how to go to a wood shop. I don't know. Whatever it is, have time for yourself. And then once you're feeling good about things, be able to go in and say, okay, how do I recreate this for my employees who maybe have a lot more to worry about than I do? Because if I'm like, maybe a GM of a hotel, I'm like, I'm in a good place. I don't have to worry about overtime. I don't have to worry about my salary and everything. But people have other worries on their minds. And then be really good at planning. Go through, and I talk this concept tabletop exercises. We used to do that for emergency preparedness at Disney. If a tornado hit, if there was an active shooter, let's do a tabletop and see how everyone would react. Just to go through the paces. Do that in your operation. And you're going to trip upon things that weren't issues before. You know what? There's a new regulation that we have to have things covered. We have to do stuff. So plan ahead. And then that other piece is, Anthony called it out, hypercare. Make sure you're having an organization that's putting you in a place that you're going to be even more empathetic and more connected to your employees than you did before. And, that chief people person or that hypercare person, they may be out there really empathetic, talking to people, working through with stuff. And if I was a GM of a hotel, I'd have that person send me an email every night going, hey, I was in the hotel today. There's 3 people you should either send an email to or go see in the morning. Here's what they did yesterday. And now you're being directed. You're using your authority as the manager to go to connect with people and call those things out, and remind you that, because once again, when you're running operations, you are in a execution mode, and it's easy not to think about how people are feeling about things. And if you're not wired that way, you better put someone next to you that's going to be reminding you to do that. Because during these tough times, when you take care of people, this is when you build up loyalty. This is when you build up people that are going to hang with you. When things get good, they're going to stay with you because they remember how flexible you were, how caring you were, how thoughtful you were during the tougher times.
Right. Excellent. Fantastic. All right. Before we get to the shameless plugs, always have to get a Disney question in here. Matthew says, what about the Disney policy change with hair and piercings? Anything to do with the need for employees or culture?
Yeah, that Valor and I were talking about that. I know that we're the old timers going, back in my
Right.
day.
No facial hair, nothing, right?
Right. Yeah. It wasn't that long ago. I don't know. It was maybe a decade, but yeah, no facial hair. That's there now. And now we saw this thing where, okay, you can have tattoos, piercings. And, I've been around long enough now to know, I think, Disney, we were always, you talk about the bell curve, you have early adopters, you have the middle, and then the laggards, right, on everything. And I think Disney just probably, in my mind, as far as the world's concerned, they're probably laggards in this category because tattoos are now mainstream. They're not sort of bad people things. A lot of people have tattoos. And I think Disney's just jumped on board probably 5 years earlier than they would have in the past and said, you know what? This is not our guests will not define us by this. That's what we did with the facial hair. We showed people pictures of cast members in costume. No one made a comment about a mustache. We said, well, you know what? Maybe they don't care. And so it's probably part of it is being able to hire people, because we were probably I know we turned a lot of people away that said, well, look, I don't have the money to get this tattoo lifted for the laser. And so I can't do that. I'm not shaving my mustache. And so on my traditional side, 26 years there, I see that, okay, wow, they've changed their standard, but I understand that they got to change with the times, and they'll continue to do that. And culture is changing faster today when you look at how things go. And I think they're learning how to be more in step with it and not being seen as it used to be a kind of a mark of distinction. We're going to hold the old traditions until we're forced to come into today. And I think they've just stepped that up a little bit and said, you know what, we should be a little bit more engaged with real time, but not on the leading edge of all that. Excellent.
That's a terrific answer. All right. Shameless plug time. Tell us more about the book if you'd like, how people can engage you in leadership, all of these kinds of things.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's not a lot to say. CockerellConsulting.com. My wife, I built DanCockerell.com, and my wife, after 6 months, said, that's a crappy website. Let me build one. So she built a really nice one, CockerellConsulting.com. It's got our phone number. It's got our email. It's got, videos, all the stuff that you want to know about. We do workshops. We do consulting. We do keynotes. We customize everything we do. It's the two of us. We don't have any employees. Part of leaving Disney was keep it simple. So we have a simple life, and we do what we do, one-on-one. And then, How's the Culture in Your Kingdom? It's on Kindle. It's on Amazon. It's an audiobook. My partner, Jody Mayberry, we do our podcast together, Come Rain or Shine. And he did the audio reading of the book. Cool. And a lot of practical tips in there. And to your point earlier, if you're looking for a speaker, Glenn, Dan, Anthony, you should call all of us, but you should definitely call me first, and then go from there. So
excellent. And listen, guys, the last time Dan was on here, we talked all about that book. It was one of the best books I've read this past year. It is so great because, Dan, you really, all that self-help stuff and stuff like that, it really does apply to how you could be a better professional. And that is the key to that kingdom that you put it all together. Dan, thank you so much for being here, man. We hope to get you back again real soon.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the time, guys. Everyone have a great day.
Thank you. Take care. Wow. Another great show, man. I don't get tired of saying it every day because these guests just keep outdoing themselves.
It's great. I love that guy.
Yeah, I really do too. Before we wrap up today, I know that today is a very sacred holiday for a lot of people out there, and I want to wish you a happy 420 out there. So enjoy your special day out there. Anthony, any final thoughts?
Take yourself.
All right, everybody. Remember, everybody, subscribe to our newsletter. Text the word hotel to 66866. But more importantly, you've only got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
See y'all tomorrow.